a little bit more light. Real early in the morning. I'm probably going to go back to bed for a couple of hours. But I do like to start my day nice and early these days. I feel bad because there's a lot of times that, like, I feel so scared and I feel like I feel bad for my Joey because me and Eamon are in a good situation now, you know? There's like no drama other than dealing with his dad stuff, you know? And it's peaceful and it's nice. And I mean, we're not quite farmers yet, but I feel a lot like it's getting there, you know? Getting up early, before sunrise sometimes, you know? But no, I was strangely awoken there like at 4:44, and there actually was a there's train tracks around here, but the trains don't often go on the tracks over here. They usually go in the far one that's more towards the main roads. But there was one that was definitely closer and awoke me. Reminded me of my boys. They both had a big love for trains for a long time. And I was thinking about some conversations that I've had lately. Like, I was talking to a friend about candle magic. Because, I mean, like, there are so many times in life that, you know, like, especially if you're more spiritual or if you're just, like, if you're more in the pagan end of things like I am, like, you know, you want to do anything for your kids. And I remember, like, I went to the metaphysical store and they have these candles that I've always been very leery of. And like some of it is like the things that they put it on, it's like I can understand that being like totally selling. It's like love spell stuff, like a lot of people buy that stuff, but one, it doesn't work, and two, it's not good karma, like that controls free will and things like that. So even if it worked, like the it's like from Harry Potter, like when Voldemort and Quirrell were, you know, in one body and like, you know, trying to feed off of unicorns, and it's like the whole you end up having a half life. Like, yeah, you live, but you have a cursed life, you know, and like those things are not good to do, and they're not okay to do. Like it's like every universal and humane law, you don't do that. And there are some these candles don't quite go that far, but they're like whoever makes them, like they're clearly having fun with it. I'm not judging on that stuff. It's just like for me personally, and what I've taught in other videos on this channel is like you go for benevolence, and you know, like in spaces where you feel like you might want to have like use magic or manipulation of any kind. Like, I mean, you know, manipulation has two sides. Like to manipulate like a toy, to manipulate a pen in your hand, like that's part of what makes us human. But you know, it does have a dark side on that. And there are many times in life, like people might do stuff like that for money magic, or they might do it for like, I don't know, some kinds of luck magic you got to be careful of. I've always been super, super cautious about things like that. And like, I was looking at a candle that was talking about like, oh, it wasn't quite like win a court case, but it was like tip the scales in your favor. And they wrote it in such a way that it was very like sellable. You know what I mean? Like, just tip the scales in your favor. And I mean, there was a part of my heart that was like, this is for Joey. I got to do something more, like anything I can, physical, 3D, anything. And then I was like, but no, like what's it worth if like the truth is not good enough? If everything that I've put together is not good enough? If me doing my best to stay in my integrity through all of this is not good enough? Like, it only gets ruined more by doing that. And it's, you know, it's just like before, like I always think about like how am I gonna feel about myself if I do this? Like I've grown up with so many people who cheat and who lie and manipulate their way into things, and it's like that I got pulled into their games, and then I did the same stuff, you know, and then I felt shitty about me, and didn't feel like I could be the person that I needed to be for my family, you know, and then I think about like especially I think about a lot of the kiddos that we've met just all throughout my boys' lives, but especially with Eamon and I going through homelessness, and like it feels so weird to have so many kiddos that brag about knowing me, and all I do is make sure that they know that they're worthy in this world. You know what I mean? I know any of you who've been watching me a while and have known I'm looking for a way that I can help. I don't know, I guess the kids of the world in some way feels like a big thing, but there's lots of different organizations to help with, and I've been helping with different organizations and political stuff like most of my adult life. I know I can help, and I don't know, if nothing else, I'll start doing the all ages music shows again in the parks for kids to come and do. And you know what? There is a place up here. But back to what I was talking about, because I know that, like, especially early on when I started my YouTube channel, and a lot of people got more into YouTube, like, especially with the twin flame stuff, like, a lot of people talked about, like, write down a whole bunch of feelings on a piece of paper and then burn it. And it's like, no, no, like, if you believe in magic and stuff like that, then by burning it, you send it out into the universe to create it. Like, don't do that. Like, if you really need to, write it down and bury it, or tear it up and put it in the water, like, don't burn it. And it's a similar thing with candles, especially if you're newer or you don't have guidance or you're not very cautious on your own. Like, I think a lot of people probably do get themselves into trouble with candle magic. It's such a simple thing, like, and it's been known throughout every religion. I mean, even the Catholics absolutely love, like, candle magic. If they don't call it that, but they do practice it. Like, you set an intention and you light a candle, and you consider that intention while you're going on. But there are a lot of things that we humans tend to do, especially if we've been not facing our shadows and been in various conditions that we don't even know are not going to create a benevolent outcome for us. And so when I was talking with a friend about, like, the candle magic stuff and the court stuff, I was like, there's a part of me, there's shadows in me too, that's like, I wanted to. I wanted to grab that, what is it, lean the court case in your favor sort of candle. But I was like, no, like, no, no, I want to be that person that my kids see me as. I want to be that person that the other kids see me as. I want to be that person that I've worked hard to be, which is standing in my integrity. I don't always hit it. It's not always perfect. I mean, that's where a lot of people tried to hold me back and keep me in what felt almost like a gang, like, because I wasn't perfect either. But I look back at my life and I'm like, but mostly I didn't. Mostly I did good. I had good intentions. I chose that, and I chose to leave behind all the pirates and not become a pirate, because it was it was hard on top of all of the abuses that nobody would even be accountable for it. And nobody would stand in their integrity. I've heard so many times, well, not everybody's you, or not. Was it some friends once fought over me, and it was the most bizarre thing ever. Is like they were talking about their own arguments, and one of them said something about you got to be able to heal and do this and that, and the other one was like, well, we don't all have an Amanda, or it was something like that, and I was like, wow, when did I get, when did I get to that level? You know what I mean? But, like, I know that with those friends, like, I stopped being afraid of who I was and let myself be myself, and found that people not only like that, but they'll fight over it. It's weird, but I want to be that person, though. I do. And so, like, I never got that one. Like, I would much rather, like, if I'm gonna do candle magic, just be like, send my love to my children, you know, or maybe a helping hand in just getting my paperwork done, stuff like that. But what I wanted to do this divine nugget about was that very thing, though, because I do know, unfortunately, a lot of people do get into candle magic, of the type that's just like very sellable, and they end up not just not getting what it is that they maybe thought that they wanted, or even getting exactly what they wanted, but it creating, like, a lot of bad karma and a lot of trouble for other people. But it creates it for themselves, and then it adds on more problems and more stuff, and kind of adds to that victim consciousness later of being like, why? Like nothing works, nothing else. You know, it does work. It does help you, but what are you manifesting? You know, so like when you go for candle magic of any kind, whether you're making your own candles or just buying blank candles and inscribing on them, or whether you're buying pre-made ones, like what is your intention with it? You know what I mean? Why are you getting it? If you're getting a like say a money spell candle of some kind, why? Like, are you in a space of lack? Are you in a space of desperation where you feel like you constantly need things? And, like, do you feel like money is the only way that you can get it? Like, if that's the case, then it's much better to stop and look at those shadows rather than to go get a candle. Because, like, magic is not a answer to all things. There's nothing in this universe that is an answer to all things. They are all connected, they all have pieces, but there's no, like, who's there? My therapist said, or our therapist said, there's no magic bullets to all things, and it's funny because like there's magic and stuff, but there really aren't any magic bullets. There's other things, but again, like if you're getting into those spaces, it's more important to stop and look at like why am I so angry, or like what conditioning have I gone through in life to have co-manifested this situation, because we're all a part of the whole and also individuals. Like we may not have created all things that happen to us, or and we're co-creating with everyone else, so the outcomes that come about are from all of us, but you get what you put out, you get what you give. And so like think about it, like if you're buying an attraction candle or a money magic candle or a tip scales in my favor sort of candle or things like that, like think about why. Like even like in my case too, like with the tip the scales one or whatever, like one of the things that it made me stop and think about too is like if I feel like I need this, then I don't feel like my truth is truth enough. I don't know how to explain that. It's like it's not just about like my integrity of like I don't want to do magic on it, like I don't want it to be affected by that, but also like what does that say about what I feel about myself and my kids and the situation if I feel like I need to like add to it, or try to give myself some undue bonus, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. Like I feel like looking at the case and all the stuff that's going on, like it's not a pretty picture, and I'm certainly not free from sin in it. But like, if I felt like I had to like pull in a bunch of people on it, or manipulate things on it, then what does that say about it? It doesn't say good things. And I was like, no, you know what? I'm confident that the judge will see reason, and she might not give exactly what I want. I doubt it. It's rarely ever exactly whatever one person wants, but I feel like spirit's gonna line us up with a judge that is fair, and like that's not likely to be exactly what I want. It's not gonna be exactly what their dad wants either, and I mean, it might be what neither of us want too. Like I've been talking to a number of people that said like she might say Joey needs to be in foster care, and like I don't like that idea. It's been discussed before, but at this point it might be healthier for him. And I'm, adult enough to recognize that, but I know that while I'm not free from sin, I have done so, so, so much for my boys. I have tried so hard to keep them connected with their dad, and to try to facilitate healthy ways to do things. And the same thing with my family, like all of it. And it's like, I think where a lot of people get hooked on to doing candles like that is because they believe, the pirate nonsense about the whole world is broken, and like the good guys can't win, and the bad guys rule everything and all this stuff. And it's like, no, I don't believe that. There's a mixture of humans in this world, and I don't think anybody's all good or all bad. I never have. And it's much more likely the world is just hurting. Like some of it's growing pains, and some of it is like just old cycles still being perpetuated. But we're humans. We always evolve, like one way or another. It's kind of like a biological imperative as much as like the imperative of our consciousness, of our spirit or soul. But But like, really think about it. Like, I definitely have always preached and practiced that you don't do anything that violates anyone's free will. That's first and foremost. You don't, as ye harm none, do what you will. You don't harm anyone's free will. And then secondarily, it's like even if you're doing something for yourself, which is what you should, like, you should never be doing, or well, what I practice is you never do any kind of magic that is about somebody else. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's goodness, even if it's like give this person strength, because you don't know where they are in their life, and that could call in so many different challenges and things that were unnecessary, and that's on your karma, and it's very codependent with whether you love them or not to do that sort of thing. So you only do magic for yourself. You know what I mean? To be selfish in a balanced, benevolent way, and but you want to be careful with that, even when you're doing that, because you get what you put out, you get what you give. So it's like what you're putting out in your mind and in your heart is what you will get in and out with that candle, you know? And if what you're putting out is like a whole bunch of mixed feelings, or if what you're putting out is lack, like need, desperation, I need this, I need that, I need this, I need that, or you're trying to, or even like banishings or bindings. I don't do them. I thought about it a few times way back, but when I really put my research into it and talked to a number of spiritual elders with more experience than me, it's like, no, even that, like, that's out of desperation. Like, if you feel like you're turning to something to try to banish someone from your life or to do that sort of thing, you're more likely to do is to banish yourself. So there's so many different things that, like, I don't have the battery life or the time right now to go through all of them, but really consider your intention before you buy it, before you make it, like, and it's always worthwhile to take the time to stop and go through and deal with the more 3D things, like how's your psychology doing, how is your diet doing, how are you exercising, are you socializing in a healthy level, like where are you at in terms of, like, taking care of yourself and your shadows and looking for your light. Like, how do you feel about yourself? Like, can you look in the mirror and be like, you know what, I love you, I love myself, like, can you do that? And then if you can do it, can you do it without, like, laughing every time and feeling like it's wrong? Can you do it and it feels like it's right? If you can do that, and you can also look around and be like, you can recognize that a part of who you are is the things that are around you, the people you interact with, your roles, but that is not you. Like, you are your consciousness. You are that being that observes those things that you do, the being that intermingles with ego, the I am, and says, I am a mom, I am a painter, I am a writer, I am a poet. I am a musician. Like, those things, like, they intermingle in there. And you just really, consider your consider what you have going on in the 3D world. Like, every spiritual path in the known world has typically some kind of ceremony that they do before they do their magic, and it's usually cleansing and purifying and things like that. And you want to really kind of do that same thing with yourself. It doesn't always have to be big and showy. But before you do anything, it shouldn't just be magic. You know what I mean? Before you pick a job, before you start a relationship, before you adventure down a new path, think about, like, what is your intention? What is my intention in doing this thing? You know, and then consider, like, what could be the possible consequences? How will you feel about yourself? Um, is it necessary? Like, is it really necessary? And, like, could it harm you or anyone else? And even if it meets the criteria of being on the positive side of it, still, like, it's much better to work on yourself and not to try to rely on, like, it's like trying to rely on other people to do everything for you or to be there for you all the time. same thing with magic. Like you don't want to rely on magic all the time. Now, if you're doing magic because you have a love and a joy for it, and you're already practicing it in your day-to-day life, and working on your psychology and your physiology and things of that nature, okay. So, like, one, you probably have a little more experience, and two, you are working on the other stuff. So when you add in magic to that, it is a part of the process, much like, body, mind, and spirit. Like, you have to manage all of them together. So, like, if you're doing it together in a healing way, benevolent way, okay, there's a little bit more. But do it more for the joy in it, the gratitude in it, for the addition of it, for it being like the cherry on top, like we talk about with the twin flame stuff. Make it the cherry on top rather than the thing that you go to like all the time. Anyways, I'll say more about this at some point. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.